some basic strategies here for the attacking team would be to focus on capturing a single rally point from the start. You know, be very objective focused. Like right now, our hero is being very kill focused, which isn't always the best approach. Sometimes you want to focus more on objectives than killing individual enemies. If you're not focused on an objective, you're really not furthering sort of the strategy of the battle. And then as an attacking force coming towards a fort, you want to try to use ranged weapons to suppress all those turret users up on the wall. Turret users are super exposed, and you can kill them a lot faster than you can kill the siege weapon or the turret that they're in. So you want to try to knock them off as soon as possible, reduce the volume of sort of heavy fire coming off the walls. Again, like the attackers can place multiple siege platforms, and if one is destroyed, they can replace it. If it no longer is useful, maybe it's too far back in the battlefield, you can actually destroy it yourself and replace it somewhere else. Yeah, I think when you see him get into these kind of one-on-one melee fights, he switches to sword and shield, trying to sort of clean up the attackers. Definitely better to stick together, stick in small groups, so you can sort of gang up on enemies as they come in. The perspective we don't see right now is the defenders up on the wall. They're using their siege weapons to try to prevent the attackers from taking these control points. They also have the ability to use a horn that does kind of an AoE heal and defense buff for their team. You have people who are, as I mentioned earlier, maintaining the turrets, they're repairing them. And same with the gates. You're going to have people who are focused on repairing the gates as they take damage. The defenders are not able to replace any siege weapons that are destroyed. But they're up there using, they have a ballista, they have a fire dropper, they have a harpoon. There's a variety of siege weapons that they're sort of in their arsenal, and through town projects they're upgrading and not just their siege weapons, but their entire fort. So this is the final checkpoint that the attackers need to capture. So they're in the process right now of trying to capture it. Our hero Simon is running up behind the defenders and trying to prevent them from pushing the attackers off of this control point. Once this control point is captured, and you can see the progress happening, it's the blue bar on the red circle. Once this control point is captured, they're going to be able to start their assault on the gate. The fort has 5 gates, 3 in the front, one of them being the main gate, and 2 in the rear. So there is some additional strategic decisions you can make in terms of, like, maybe you want to deploy a small group of sort of commandos around the rear to try to get to flank from the rear. Also, once that main gate is destroyed, you might want to, as an attacker, you might want to redeploy where all of your siege weapons are on the battlefield so that you can fire more directly into that main gate. So while the main gate is difficult to destroy, the advantage of destroying it is you can get some really good line of sight into the fortress. And then the defenders obviously are trying to prevent them from capturing this last control point. And then beyond that, they're trying to protect their gates. And I'm just laughing at someone named the character Danny DeVito. So the defenders are up on their walls. They're coming out onto the battlefield, and they're trying to hold enemies back, push, if they do breach, which it looks like we're going to see in a moment here. So you can see that there are now 5 gates represented in the UI, and it shows sort of the health durability of those gates. Looks like our hero is going to come around the side and probably try to flank into one of these rear gates. So now that we're attacking the fortress, our first goal obviously needs to be to like destroy the siege weapons that are up on the walls. But beyond that, there's powder kegs. Powder kegs are very effective at destroying gates. It takes time to set them up, and you'll need to protect them while the fuse counts down. But you can pick them up at the armory. Powder kegs do not cause friendly fire damage, so you don't really have to worry about destroying your allies while you set them up. There used to be, in previous iterations of the game, powder kegs could set off other powder kegs. You could do these like big chain effects. But we moved away from that in favor of something a little more strategic. So placing the kegs, protecting them, and giving them the time to detonate sort of adds a layer of complexity that we like. Each gate has different hit points, so the bigger the gate, the more health it has. The gates in the back of the fort, which is where we are now, they're the weakest, and the ones in the front are the strongest. So you can see that they're making progress. Our team, the attackers, are making progress on at least 2 of the gates. One of them is fairly damaged. You can see that they just dumped down fire down on them. On the other side of the gate, I am sure there are defenders who are trying to repair these gates as they take damage. See, there's a large group of defenders coming to the rear. Simon is taking some time away from the battle to heal up. I guess he's not good to anybody if he dies. I think he's trying to live to fight another day. Looks like it worked. The person who was chasing him got distracted by someone else. One of the things, just to mention some of Simon's special abilities that he's chosen. So the F ability that he chose, I believe, is the Berserker Stance. One of the benefits of the Berserker Stance is that you can't die for sort of X amount of seconds. And so if you're in a situation where you are getting overwhelmed by enemy forces, you can pop that and it'll give you sort of a second wind, or at least time to either finish off enemies or to escape. He was a little aggressive there and he went for the flag control point by himself. So now he's respawned in the backfield of the battle. He's making some changes to his weapons. You saw that he just pulled out a bow. One of the things I know about Joel, who is playing Simon for us today, is he actually uses the bow in an interesting way. It's a very high DPS weapon at close quarters. So the bow has this spread shot ability where it can shoot 5 arrows at once, and if you're up really close with an enemy, all 5 arrows will hit that one target. And so you know, you can use the bow to help clear out people up in turrets, people up on the rampart shooting down, but I happen to know he also uses the bow in close quarter combat, using rolls and dodges, and then using some of those really powerful skill tree abilities. So that'll be interesting to see. Right now he is in Warhammer mode because the Warhammer is incredibly effective against objects and buildings, and so he is helping bring that gate down. You can see that they're getting firebombed. But he is very focused on destroying that gate. And I can assume that on the other side of that wall are people who are trying to repair that gate and buy themselves as much time as possible. Someone just popped their life staff bubble to try to protect the people who are assaulting that gate. He needs to take a break and heal a little bit. But so far, I would say that the defending team has done a good job of repairing gates that were very close to their point of destruction. You can see that all of them are in pretty good condition right now. I think something probably worth noting is, for the most part, these two teams are groups of strangers. Folks playing together for the first time. In the average war scenario, you're going to have companies composed of gaming communities, guilds, who are very familiar with one another, and they'll probably have a more coordinated attack in terms of focusing on specific things, individuals having roles, having a clearer divide between who are trying to breach, who's trying to support the breaching team. So in some ways, sort of watching this video, this stream, you can see the teams having some communication breakdown, and they're probably struggling to coordinate different roles within the battle. But I'm still rooting for them. I think they can pull it out. Just making sure that when you lose all of your health, you fall to a state of death's door where you're on the ground, but you can be resuscitated by team members. So he was finishing off that enemy combatant. You can see that they have a keg placed, the fuse is ticking down. Again, you don't have to worry about damage to your allies. You can see how much damage that created. Those kegs are super powerful. You can get those from the armory. You can see they're now holding that light staff bubble to protect their team from projectiles coming in. You can see the arrows sort of frozen in the air. They breached through the gate. I think the character's name was Leeson. They were a powerhouse. They brought the keg. They were protecting their team. You can see how effective that siege weapon, that Gatling gun is. Enough to kind of push people out, right? Like at this point, the defending team, now that they have a gate that's been breached, their goal is to push everybody out and repair that breached gate. Doesn't look like there are a ton of attackers by this gate yet. But if you look at the UI up on the top, you can see that there's actually 2 gates that have been breached. That's very brutal. You can see that the respawn timer is starting to get longer now that we're later in the war. Our team, the attackers, have experienced a lot of losses, and so the respawn timer is getting longer and longer, which helps sort of bring the war to its logical conclusion. The defending team is trying to hold their fortress for